Briefs of Dead Stargazers and Soothsayers is a debut full-length from Brisbane, Australia-based old-school influenced death metal band Pustilence. And Pustilence are a little bit of a rarity in their general sphere if we just look at Brisbane proper, because really what's notable from death metal out of that area is probably, for me, it's Misery and Portal. And there are some newer bands that like Descent and whatnot that are from different angles. Anyway, it's a bit of a rarity in general to hear a band so focused on high rate, aggressive riffcraft that is this close to the peak of old school death metal, as it was arguably kind of 92 to 94, where the original sort of thrash influence turned into the kind of the zeitgeist of brutal death metal emerging in a serious way. That's not to say that this is a brutal record full on, but the grooves that were in that emergent point of that style is very much here the same way it was in records like Oppressor's Solstice of Oppression, which is probably remembered a little bit more as a not quite a technical, not quite a progressive death metal record, but an important one for a lot of people looking for a pristine example of what old school death metal sort of peaked with before it really did lose its way for some, for some people. Anyway, just to get a sense of where the standard is, where the riffs are, we'll cut into a song and go from there. So it isn't often that I will start to suggest a standard for a band is up there with groups like Faceless Burial and Skeletal Remains, because I think those are very dedicated, very talented folks who kind of go the distance with the amount of focus they put into their work. And I would say that this just kind of reads along those lines, and it looks like there's plenty of potential for this band to kick it up even further into those sort of higher realms of pure death metal exploration that only like an old school fanatic would fully get. So this band really is a good marriage of tougher sort of 90s groove ideas working their way into the general death metal movement of the early 90s. A good example of that would probably be like Discarnate. That's a very groove-oriented album. It's not quite obituary, but it's not quite death, but there's something brutal going on there too. That's kind of what I would say about this record, except it's not pulling from such obvious Florida-based influences, and the leads are not quite as frequently elaborate, or they don't trade off as often. So this really is a record about the riffs, about pacing, about doing really just a great showing for a first record. Like this is, I might not like the album art's just okay, but the actual music is really what sells this record, and it's solid. I don't know how much deeper anyone needs me to go into it from that point. I will say I was surprised that there was no fall off in the second half. I think that they considered every single song on here, and it played really well on repeat. Also lyrically and just thematically, I think they have an interesting touch to the maybe the lyric composition, the unique use of language, and the sort of science fiction-esque arcane feeling of their music, which matches well with sort of the brutal, the technical, and the more just classic grinding old school death metal feeling of it. So I thought it was a complete package. There are memorable songs here. It's just easily one of the best releases of April, and maybe not number one because there are some old favorites there, but right up there with the best of the month, and definitely an essential death metal record for this month and this year, I would say. So check that out. Go ahead and read the full review on the site if you would like more detail and more eloquent thoughts, and go from there.